Recorded Books presents The Endurance Diet. Discover the 5 core habits of the world's greatest athletes to look, feel, and perform better. By Matt Fitzgerald. Narrated by Gregory Abbey. Forward. Most athletes would agree that nutrition is important for performance. For endurance athletes, it may be so important that it is the difference between winning a race and not even making it to the finish line. When Haile Gebrselassie, who had won pretty much every distance between 1,500 and 10,000 meters and set multiple world records in the process, moved up to the marathon distance, he was facing Paul Tergat in a show-off at the London Marathon. Haile was in top shape and ready to take on the world. Who could beat him? It turned out that poor nutrition beat him. With 12 kilometers to go, he felt his energy disappearing. His stomach was protesting, and he had to abandon the race. When he figured out his nutrition in the following years, this did not happen again. Similar mistakes are made by many athletes with their day-to-day diet. Although most athletes are aware of the importance of nutrition and sometimes are even obsessed with their nutrition, very few athletes get it right. In races and training, some athletes overfuel, some underfuel, some overdrink, some underdrink. A large percentage of athletes experience gastrointestinal distress, and often these things are completely preventable. There are multiple reasons why athletes struggle to get their nutrition right, including 1, not having a plan, 2, following bad advice, 3, not listening enough to their bodies, 4, sticking to a plan at all cost, and 5, not being flexible enough with an existing nutrition plan. People generally think getting nutrition right is complicated, technical, and difficult to achieve. There is an overload of information and often contradicting advice. Today, the general trend is to remove specific foods from the diet and focus on eating a smaller number of so-called healthy foods. Current popular examples are the meat-free diet, the low-carb diet, the paleo diet, and many other variations. If foods with little nutritional value are removed and replaced by other more nutritious foods, that may be a good choice. But if the result is that the diet is less diverse, the outcome may not be that positive. Additionally, there are commercial interests, sensationalism, and everyone who writes a blog about nutrition seems to be an expert. It is therefore not surprising that athletes are confused. As a sports nutrition scientist, I have been at the forefront of research in this field. Many of the studies we have done in our labs at the University of Birmingham in the United Kingdom have contributed to the recommendations that we have for athletes to date. My entire career, I have tried to translate the sometimes complicated science into practical strategies. Studies are often performed in laboratories so that all variables can be controlled, and this is necessary and it is a good thing. However, laboratories also have a limitation. They are not the same as the training or the races we do. In a lab, we can mix a drink using very pure ingredients. In the field, we use drinks, products, and foods, and we mix all of them. The basis of any sensible advice has to be evidence. But this is also exactly the origin of a lot of confusion because people have different views of what evidence is. For some, evidence is a friend who had a good race and says that he took a particular sports drink. For others, evidence is a great-looking product they buy at an expo the day before a race. The packaging says, scientifically proven. For me, none of this is evidence. To obtain evidence, a series of rules needs to be followed so that you can establish the actual reason for the good performances. And that is exactly where Matt Fitzgerald is so brilliant. To distinguish between good and bad science and to separate good and bad communication of science, which is not easy without the specific training and without specific skills. We need people that use their skills to communicate the science and the evidence to the wider audience. Matt is able to read and interpret the science and make it very simple and usable for any athlete. He separates facts from fiction.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?